Thank you, thank you. So, I have traveled a far long distance from Sweden. And today is actually our natural holiday, or natural day. So I need to celebrate it. So I'm not supposed to work today. I'm Cecilia, and I'm called Cecilia Sharp on all the social media. I work at Active Solutions, a company in Stockholm, and other cities in Sweden as well. And right now I do a lot of stuff around DevOps, Azure networking, and also AI things. I do a lot of workshops, training, learning how to use AI, learn to implement AI, etc. And one of the things I do is GitHub Copilot workshops or the training, etc., whatever what you call it, like half day or full day to really get into using GitHub Copilot. But I would like to start to back up a little bit back in the days when I started coding, like more than 20 years ago. And at that time, this was what we were using when we needed knowledge about what we were coding. So this is a book, and you kind of swipe in real life too. Yeah. So if you were a C programmer, this was pretty much everything you wanted to know. Everything could be fit inside of a book. It didn't change so much. You didn't have to buy a book every month. It was an easier time. But around that time, it also started to grow the community, the internet. So things started to pop up like forums, blogs, etc. And at the beginning it was easy. It was like MSDN, and then we had like a local thing in Sweden where we got to, and like a couple of places where you went and asked questions and get help. But then it grew, and it's so many pages where you could find information that's really hard to grasp and find things. So then we had to learn a new skill. And today we call it Googling. So we needed to learn how to browse, to find things on the internet by searching. And that's a skill that we still are refining. You know, when you're trying to find something and your colleague finds something, and you're like, what did you type in the search bar? How did you find it? So we're still doing that. We're pretty good at doing Googling. But now we are entering a new era where we're not finding our knowledge in books or through search engines. We are doing it we are going to start to do it with AI coding assistant. And in this session, I'm going to talk about GitHub Copilot, but there's a similar thing for the other services as well. So GitHub Copilot is basically built on top of ChatGPT. So it's a large language model. So it's going to kind of guess the text or the code in this case. It do have a little bit more function behind the scenes than just ChatGPT-4. So it's a little bit better than just using ChatGPT-4. It's are trained on code from internet. And that can mean that it's not always the best code you're getting, because it's biased towards the large amount of way of doing things, maybe the old way of doing things. And yeah, I do have a lot of code out there on the internet that I'm not proud of, and I guess you do too, but it's trained on that as well. So we have to keep that in mind, and the most important part of having a good experience is to make sure the GitHub Copilot have the right context. So if you're not giving it any kind of context and say, hey, write me a login page, it's going to be whatever. You need to specify what technology you have and where you are, or how you want it to be. Some context is going to be able to pick up itself from the IDE, depending on what files you open. Other things you need to specify. And when you get a really strange answer, that probably means that you need to give it more context to be able to do its things right. And that's pretty true for every kind of LLM that you're talking to. You need to give it a context. Yeah, and the important thing here is it's creating things, it's not copying things. So you can't like, oh, where did it copy that from? So it's not going to Stack Overflow and copy things. It's just creating things from everything it's learned. We can use the Copilot inside of our IDs. So it's supporting VS Code, Visual Studio for .NET developers. We have the whole range of JetBrains ADIs, as well as support for Vim. We have support for Azure Data Studio. We have it in GitHub CLI, so you have it in Terminal, etc. So there's a lot of places where you can use it. And to enable it, you need to have an extension. So you're trying to find a GitHub Copilot and the provider, GitHub or Microsoft in some cases as well. And you also need a license. And the license you get from your GitHub account. But it doesn't mean that you have to have your code on GitHub. So it's only a way to handle the license. And if you don't have a GitHub account, you can create it, of course. And there are 1 free-month trial if you really want to try this out beforehand. So extension and GitHub account, and then you're set. So when you have installed the extension and enable it with your account, the first thing you will notice is the kind of auto-completion mode. And in that mode, you get this kind of suggestions. So when you're typing, you're going to get like gray text prompted and like a guess on what's coming next. And you can select it and you can discard it. You can also write a comment on what you want to do, and then you get an implementation based on that comment. In this case, it's a full function, but it can be a part of inside of the function as well. So that's really easy to pick up. And up until publicly the last working day of December, this was the only feature that was available unless you were in some of the preview programs. But then they announced the chat functionality, and that's when it really become useful. And without chat, my session would be done now. So, so I'm not going to talk about every single function or option you can do inside of it, because there are a lot of other sessions like that. You are going to discover a lot of things when you're working. Copilot itself will like, hey, do you know you can do this and that? I'm going to start to talk about a little bit of different kinds of things you can do. But basically, you can use it for everything when you code. And then we're going to do a really fun exercise, and I'm going to do a demo for you. So one of the areas where we can do stuff is learning, as I said. So you could have some complicated code. It doesn't need to be complicated, but it's written in a complicated way. And it's really hard to understand, and you scratch your head and read and trying to figure out how does it work, what does it do. Maybe it's bad naming on the function name and the variables, etc. So you can get Copilot to explain the code for you, and you can do a conversation and ask about, okay, you state this and this and this. Is this also true in this state, in this function, etc. You could get help to do completely new things. Maybe you're using a new framework or something that you haven't seen or used before. Then you can let Copilot help you with that as well. You could, maybe we're doing something that you have done before, but not from the beginning, or not in this context. So you can also get help to kickstart things. So you don't need to go out to the internet, find a blog post on exactly your tech stack and how to do that stuff. You can just ask Copilot. So in this case, we have a / command inside of the IDE. There are a couple of / commands. That's kind of a shortcut to a longer prompt. So /explain is going to give us an explanation of this code. And reading the code, it will take a couple of minutes or something to really figure out what to do. But in the explanation, it's going to tell you all about the for loop and if statements. And somewhere here, you're going to say that this is actually a function that's going to give you sorry, I don't remember that one. It's going to give you a game that is filtered for playtime only, because it's a game list application. The next thing we could do is refactoring. So we have a lot of code that needs refactoring. And that's kind of boring to do and stuff like that. So we can get help to, in this case, /simplify, to simplify a function. Sometimes it's not possible to simplify it more, but you can try to do. There can also be repetitive changes, like I have a class and it should be attributes on all the functions, and I haven't done it. And every attribute is slightly different based on the name of the function or something. Just tell Copilot to do it, and it's gonna fix everything for you. Maybe we want to switch an if statement. Maybe it's a complicated if statement, so we could just tell it to switch it, and it's gonna change the if statement to be able to switch it, etc. So simple refactoring, making code simpler, and renaming things, for example, getting help to renaming things because naming is hard. All those kind of things in a category as well. So from this big annoying function, we could do it something like that instead, and it's really more simple and readable as well. And then we have the boring stuff, the boilerplating. All those stuff that you write over and over again, the same kind of code for every single project. It doesn't add any value to like the business problem at all. You can get all the kind of help to do that. That's really, really simple code to write, to just mapping stuff or writing proxies or single classes or classes for that matter or whatever. Boilerplating is a really good area to do it. Next up, test. This is my favorite area to do it on. So Copilot have the possibility to generate tests for you. You could write /test. It's a simple / command. You can add something more, and you usually want to. It's going to do a generic testing here. It's going to be a good start if you don't have a test at all. But usually you want to have a test that tests something special, and then you describe it together with the test /test command as well. So with that, we're going to get a suggestion on testing. We're going to get it in a new file because that's how you do it, and etc. But, and this you may have seen before, but what I really like to do is actually turn it around and to do like the TDD. So I could start by writing my test. Of course, I'm going to use Copilot for it, so getting help with the boilerplating, the setting up. I'm going to tell it I need to test this, and it's going to set everything up for me. And then I try to run the test. Of course, it's going to fail. And then I tell Copilot to implement, so this function works inside of my code instead. So that's a really neat way of switching things up. And the last thing, fixing errors. So this is a screenshot from the terminal for a runtime exception. So we could take, either we can take it right here inside of the IDE. You see these little stars up there? There's a shortcut thingy inside of which is the code only, I think. But it's simply telling Copilot to take the error message here together with the context of the file that you're open and trying to figure out what's wrong. You could also paste it in from, if you said you get it in the browser or something, you can copy-paste it inside of the chat and get help. You can get help with compiling errors if you don't understand what's wrong with them, or if you do understand, but it's like, oh, I forgot about that. It's easy fix. Tell Copilot to do it because it's too easy to do yourself. So in this case, we get an explanation why it's wrong, and how to fix the error inside of the code. Yes. So that's kind of suggestion areas, but as I said, you can basically use it for everything. And the hardest part now is actually to relearn, because most of you, the default way of doing things when you are not completely sure is going out to the internet, to Google things, to go to Stack Overflow. So it's really hard to start doing more and more Copilot. And one way of doing it is to do kind of a boot camp for yourself, where you force yourself to do a little bit more than you should use Copilot, just to practice to do it. So you state yourself with a situation that you are not too comfortable with. You do a new coding language, you do a new technology, something kind of new, so that you don't really know and can cheat. And then you set yourself up to not using the internet, no Googling, no Stack Overflow, nothing. If you need to have knowledge, you ask Copilot. The only way you need to go to the internet if you need to kind of download something, maybe you need runtime for the new language or something, but you only do that when Copilot have told you to do that. And then to just do it a little bit further, try not to code yourself. That's really hard, but with those rules, you're gonna really force yourself to use Copilot and rewiring your brain to actually trying to use it more when you do it. I would say it takes a couple of exercises, maybe 2, 3, 4, before you start seeing some changes. But it's a really fun way of relearning stuff. And that's kind of what we're going to do now, actually. So I'm not too comfortable with Python. So I usually do Python with those kind of demos. I can't do Python from scratch. I can kind of read Python and understand it, since I've been a developer for a long time. But it's a perfect way. And there are easy to do, like a script file and do everything in once. They have a lot of fun libraries, etc. So that's what we're going to do. Let's see. I'll do nothing. It's gonna. Oh, sorry. I need to stop it. I need to stop it. Let's see. Where did it go? Stop. End slideshow. There we are. So, and I hope it went well with the technique. Yep. I tried to turn up the size as well. So here I have the extension. Inside of here, Copilot. And I have the Copilot chat. I do think you only need to install the Copilot. You get the chat it's tagging along. But yeah. I would like to start with making this a little bit more visible for you, so I need to change theme. And I don't know about you guys, but I always forget some kind of command or whatever I'm using in my IDEs, usually because I switch IDEs so many times. So this is Visual Studio Code, for example. But in Visual Studio Code, they have an @ command, where you can say @VS Code and ask about Visual Studio Code stuff. Basically, you can talk about Visual Copilot with every kind of development issue, coding, hosting, Azure thing, whatever. But in this code, we are narrowed down to knowledge about Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to ask it how to change my theme. I like to change theme, color theme. I'm going to go bright so we can see everything. So it's telling me that I can open the command palette and actually get a button here. So I don't have to learn the shortcut. I can ask for a shortcut as well if I want to learn, but let's do that. And then we have color theme, and do solarized light. It's easier to see, right? So, if I had never done Python before, I can start to talk about what I need on my computer. I want to do a Python app program, what do I need to download, how do I run it, etc. But I've done that before, so I'm going to start to say, I like to create a game in Python. It's a really good way. Of course, that's kind of the prompt you don't do. You specify more, but this is a good start. To see. So it's giving me some explanation on what it's going to do. It's going to create some kind of random number game. I get a bit of code and a suggestion to run it inside the terminal. This is a code block. I can copy-paste from it, but I also get these handy shortcuts. So I can select copy everything. I can select insert a cursor. So if I have a coding window open and something, so it's going to be like a copy V thing over that. I could also put it in the terminal. So if I get asked about things that I'm going to do in the terminal, I can insert terminal. It's going to put it in the terminal right away. But in this case, I want to have it in a new file. There. I need to save it. So game, and it's putting my the file extension for me. There. So, but now, how do I run it? So, how do I run it? Open the terminal, view terminal, and then type, we are in the right path, so Python game PI. So guess a number between 1 and 100. Oh my God. 50, too high. 30, too high. Okay, 20, too high. 1, too low. 7, too low. Damn it, too low. No, too high. 17, 16, no, too low, sorry. 18, yay. Okay, so it's working. I know everything is up and running. That could be a really good starting point when doing something new, to make sure that everything is setting up, that you know how to run it, and that you have the runtime, etc. So now skip everything here, and I want to do something with create a game with an image that I can move with my keyboard. So to recognize, I probably need some kind of library for this as well. To handle the graphics. So import Python game, this game. And if I don't want to learn more about Python, I could ask about this import thingy and, hey Copilot, can you tell me what this is and how it works and what's it's about, and etc. Yeah. So now I'm gonna, since I have the file, I'm just gonna use insert a cursor. I get it there and save it, and then we're trying to run it. And it's going to crash. And I see that there's something around the path of the file image. Of course, I need to change it. But now I can test it out. So, it's really hard. But down here, behind everything, these are kind of stars I can push. But I can also copy it to the chat window as well. So let's see what is going to explain about this. So it's going to tell me that this path that's wrong, etc. So, and now it do have the context of the previous chat for some way back. I can't tell you exact how, because it's depending on how long my questions and answers are, of course. So they have the context, but otherwise, it actually needs the context of my file here to actually know where the error is and where I need to change stuff. And you can actually see this. So upside here, I think in Visual Studio is actually on the bottom. But you can see, oh, it used terminal lost command. Oh, sorry, we can look at that later on. So, yeah, so we need to change this. So let's do, I do have a folder called images, / and I have an image of me. So let's see if it works better now. Oh, Lou, nothing. There's nothing here. Okay, so let's see. The image was not visible. No. So you don't have to write exactly spelling right, because it's going to guess what you're trying to say. The only thing is when you're mistyping and you get another word, and the other word is actually changing on what the meaning of the thing is. So, yeah, the path shouldn't be, yeah, I've done that and that. Let's see, if it's, can it be something like this? Is it, oh, images load, X and Y. So we can try again. I maybe need to, oh, sorry. Oh, there it is. Okay, it was really big. Yay! So I need to modify a little bit. And this is how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to be doing it in steps and steps. Of course, I can't try to write the whole game exactly definition, but it's usually better to take it step by step, as you would have done approaching this problem. So we have some issues with the image size. So I'm guessing here we're loading the image, so we need to do something around here. Where we could select a couple of rows to indicate that this is the context we want to talk about. But we could also do an inline chat. So depending on what we are doing and where we like to have the answer, if we're talking about the code, we want to have it in the chat. If it's a bigger change, maybe we'll have the chat. But we're going to try out inline chatting. So we have this feature called no? Cool. It's a Control I. Why didn't it show up here? Copilot, fine. Yeah, start. Okay, they changed it. I literally updated the Copilot before the session. So it could be hard because the shortcut is not the same in the different EDIs. So that's why I wanted to show right-click way. But Control I is the one that you may want to use inside of code. So I'm going to say image is too big. Can we make it 10 times smaller? Or something. So let's see what it's going to say. So keeping the first thing. So now we got like this kind of diffing tool. We actually have, if we had a larger screen, it's going to be two-sided. But we can see in a light green is the old thing, and the dark green is the thing that's going to change. So it's going to do a transform, taking the width and the height, and scale it down to 10. Yeah, so we can try that. But if I don't like it, I could reprompt here and say, explain it a little bit more. I can just discard it, or I can also just try again. Because even though I'm saying the same thing, I'm not going to get the same suggestions. It's going to change. That's how the LLM is working. So this is a really hard session, demo to prepare, because you never know what's going to happen. So let's see. Yeah. Oh, shit. OK, so almost. Let's do it like maybe 20, just to make sure that we have room on the screen. So, run it again. So, and I do have an issue with, I want to have like borders here so I can go off the screen. So, and I don't really know exactly where, but it should be in this like while true loops. That's kind of game engine loop, I guess. So I'm gonna mark that one, and then I'm gonna use the chat again. So I like the image to stop moving when hitting the boundary of the window. Get a size, get a screen. Yeah, so the first part is the same. Here's the sample diff, and here's something. Yeah. So let's just put that over that. Let's see if we got it. So let's see. Yeah, so weep, beep, 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 yep. So moving a bit fast, but yeah. Let's see if we can do anything about that as well. It's moving, oops. Moving kind of fast. Can we lower the speed by 5, maybe? So the hardest part is not to use like, can you change this slightly, a little bit smaller, a little bit bigger, a little bit faster, because like what is smaller, what is bigger? Try to put a number on it, or like something that you can touch. Let's see, what did it suggest now? I don't see any changes. Let's see. While true. And by the image with height. Oh, right, here's something maybe. You can adjust the speed of the in by changing the values that you add or subtract from the X and Y when the arrow keys are pressed. The changes is here, I guess. Yeah, so here we have 5 and there's 1. So let's take this and do that. And then we are on the wrong track. So here. Let's try it again. So now it feels like, yeah. So now I'm strolling around here. I need something more. I need something that can chase me, I guess. This is a game, right? So we need to have, so let's do something like, yeah, I can do it without. So add one more image. Let that move randomly. And I may need to specify that it has borders and the size, etc. But this have the context of my last image, like what size I wanted that one and the limit and stuff like that. So hopefully it's going to pick that up. We will see. And since this is not too large of coding, sometimes it will just take the whole file doing it. And that's when it's more important to actually select a piece of your code and display that one. It actually didn't take everything. It take everything from import random and not game. So in this case, it could be like, oh, where should I put stuff? Maybe get just a code snippet. I can ask Copilot about where should I put it? Should I put in the game definition, or should I put it outside or beginning, whatever. But in this case, it's going to be definition of game down to here. So we're doing that. Hopefully it will work. No, it will not work. I didn't change the image. Where other hair, and we're gonna have a polar bear there. So let's see what's happening now. Whoa, it's so small. But it's there, and it's moving. So let's see. I'm guessing that image is smaller from the start. Now I'm changing myself, but it's just to be a little bit quicker now. So let's move that scaling part. Initial position for a second. Okay. It's not moving too fast, right? So I just specify move randomly. I guess like left, right, up, down. So maybe we should tell it to move in like a direction instead. So let's figure out where that is happening. There, making sure stay on the scale. So here is something random, and we have maximize, and there. So this seems like the part where we actually is deciding where it should go. Make the random moving image to move in a direction, like a ball bouncing on the edges of the window, maybe. Let's see if you get something more. So you usually see this kind of explanation first, but that's actually how the LMM works. So it's stating what to do, and from what to do, it can create the code, basically. So you're going to see that over again. So, but if I had done it in this one, was something I actually could have done like inline chat instead, because I don't want to have the explanation, maybe. So it seems that you should have something up here. Okay, we take that. Oh, wrong there. Why does that bet? Okay, it's not in use, that's why. And then we update that with those. Okay. So this part we do. And it's okay. So now I'm not completely sure where to put it. So let's do something like this. Where to put the update position part. So even though I get a suggestion of what to do, I can say like, hey, implement this in this part of the code for me. Yeah. This feels like it's not gonna work because we have XY and yeah, and XY. So what are you doing with that one? Okay. Now it's annoying. Let's do. This feels like. So since I do feel like if we don't specify the X, so we update them there. Oh, sorry, maybe this will work. Let's do that. And do bump, bump, bump. Oh, it's still on. Where did it go? There. Let's move a little bit. Let's do that. So now, yeah, it's better. So, and the next step would be to have some kind of collection detection, right? So that's the next step. We are on time. So, if the images collide, yeah, write an ouch message on top of the window. Let's see. So we need a font, actually. So stop. Yeah. So we need a font loaded, apparently, before the while. Do something like this. And then we're going to have the check collection thingy, render text. I'm guessing we need to move first, so maybe here or something. It's not 100% correct. To that. We need to do that. Yeah, something like that. So let's see. Let's see. No, it's not working. Okay. So let's see where it went wrong. Where did we do it wrong? Rendering. So I'm guessing this is the wrong one. So they're getting the placement and the height of whites of the first one, and then the other one. And why is that not? Is it something fishy here? No. That doesn't work. Kind of anti-climate not to get to this one. A couple of minutes. Fill the scheme blank. So what is that? Is apologizing for the confusion. Black. Oh, so okay. So the text is black. That's why it's not happening. No. It's the same, right? This is white. Yeah. Doesn't feel like it changes anything. So let's see. Detection be the same. So this is the thing at the beginning. It's this one.
Your screen fill is all the way at the bottom. It needs to be at the top.
So that one needs to be before. Oh, okay, but here's yeah. So let's move this one down there then. So after we have actually done that and that, yeah. So that's why you sometimes need to ask about where to put things. So let's see. Hey, whoosh. Yay. So, and the last thing, I don't know if I have sound from my computer. Do I have sound? Let's just try that a little bit fast to see. Otherwise, it will be boring to add sound. So just try to see if we have sound. No, we don't have sound. Okay, so let's skip that part. But the next thing could be to add sound. So it's sounding. It could be to add obstacles. So you need to go around things, and you can. It's a fun way of exploring, and you can do this by taking games that you know of, like tic-tac-toe or Pong or whatever. You can do a concept that you really know what it is, or you can make something up. And the game is really good way of doing it, really fun. So that's basically what I have for today. So not only learning the features right away, but more of trying to think of it as other way of working. And I've noticed after a couple of these boot camps for myself, I actually changed the way I approach the problems. For example, I have a pipeline. I have it scheduled, and there is like this cron schedule thing. That's kind of, how do I handle that? I know it's like the first one is a day, and then a week, and then, yeah, you never know, you never remember. So you need to go and Google it and get like the schema of it. But when you have like the Copilot approach, you actually know that you need to change one of these things, and you may even know that it's that or that, and it should be that or that. But instead, I ask Copilot to change it the way I want, and then I do like the pull request. I audit it, basically. So a lot of things that I do that is kind of boring, and etc., I actually take Copilot to do it. So I've been more of a prompting coding now than coding myself, and that's kind of the way we are heading. There are going to be other ways coming our way from both Copilot and others that are going to be more like there's a prompting way of coding, but you need still to be able to code and auditing all the code. And keep in mind that this is like an assistant, it's a co-pilot, not a pilot. You're still the pilot. So you need to auditing and making sure that it's correct. You can't like, pang, 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 and in with it in the code. You need to treat it like a junior colleague, but at the same time, it's very, very senior with what his knowledge is. So keep that in mind as well, that you need to still be responsible. And I think my time's up. I did run over 1 minute. I started late. Yeah. So here is where you find me. Please do connect on LinkedIn. Grab me in the hallway if you want to talk more about Copilot. I love to talk about Copilot. And if you have your own experience that doesn't match up with what I show you, please come and talk to us, and I can try to explain why. So, thank you.